Hey, Sunday night soul timers. I hope that you're doing well. I hope that you had a nice and relaxing weekend and you're getting ready for the week ahead. So our topic tonight that I want to talk about this is one that's huge for women, is how we can stop being so hard on ourselves. Be kinder to ourselves and stop beating ourselves up, holding ourselves to these impossible standards all day long, torturing ourselves. I think it's really one of the most, and I'm not saying that men don't have this pattern, but I think it's women, it's one of the most toxic kind of patterns we have. And so before we get into like how you can practice your way out of this, how you can heal this, what I want you to hear from me loud and clear is that it is only your ego self that beats yourself up. Your higher self, spirit, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, is never kicking you in the ass in this way. It is not beating you up. That is a great misperception that it is, okay? It is your ego self, so that kind of fearful aspect of you that perceives limitation, that perceives itself to be a limiting being, not of the universe, but separate from the universe. You identify it. It's always that voice of fear, but that's often presenting itself as the voice of reason. That is always that voice, right? And so like many of the ego practices that I've walked you through in the past, ultimately you want to come to have awareness for that voice rather than be identified with it. And there's many videos on Sunday Night Soul Time about that if you want to refresh yourself on that. But the purposes for this and what I really want to talk about is really like, how do we step out of this, right? And the first thing is, really recognizing it's the ego, and that entertaining that voice, entertaining the voice that's like telling you messed up in that meeting, or you're not doing a good enough job, or you're this and you're that. When you entertain that voice and even believe in what it has to say, and, because you're sitting in it and it's affecting you, you are keeping the toxic cycle going. Right? You are keeping the toxic cycle going. You are not taking productive steps to step out of it when you're spending time entertaining that voice, believing in that voice, identifying with that voice. Okay? Because what happens is you are totally in the cycle of fear. You're totally in a cycle of negativity. So it's not helpful to spend time with that voice, first and foremost. I just want to make clear and aware to you. However, that voice is often reflecting something in you deeper that might require healing. And there's really two paths to making change, and they're two simultaneous paths. The path is, addressing deeper, deeply more rooted healing, stuff that needs to be addressed. And then, a conscious kind of behavioral practice of behavioral change, which is what we're going to talk about in a second, and what my 3 recommendations are going to be for you about tonight. But I wanted to first acknowledge that if you are having kind of repeating inner critic, beat yourself up stuff happening, what you really want to do if you want to kind of end that cycle is to get really clear on what is at play here. Do I have unworthiness that I inherited and received as a child? Do I not love and accept my body? Like, you really want to get clear on what the themes are first, like what the more deeply rooted kind of ideas are, or things that are going on, and really focus on healing those aspects of you. And that might be through like therapy. It might be through working, in detail on that with a coach. It might be really journaling on that. But the deeply rooted stuff, the favor that your ego is doing to you is it is reflecting to you. It's always like a GPS reflecting to you, not the actual direct message it's saying, but what's underneath the message, where your opportunity for healing lies. Okay. So I hope that made sense. And that's part of this. That's half of this. That's half of how we kind of step out of being so hard on ourselves, is first like acknowledge, are there deeply rooted issues and opportunities for healing here? Things I really need to get clear on within myself in a much deeper way. Okay. But then the main thing I wanted to talk to you about is like, you know, these are, again, two simultaneous paths. Is how do we stop being so hard on ourselves? Well, consciously practicing not to, consciously intending and having, like, you know, a daily practice around how to not do that. There is so much you can do, and by way of healing, through acting as if, through taking like real strides and conscious practice to actually shift yourself. You know, we have a saying in 12 steps that always says, if you want to build self-esteem, then do esteemable acts. And it's really like that kind of thing. So while I don't want you to ignore the deeper healing I just talked about, and that's why I wanted to bring it up, though that's not really what I'm going to dive into on the how-to tonight, there's a lot you can do to just consciously step out of that. So I have 3 for you. And the first is just a daily mindset shift, okay? And I think this is a really good intention, a really good reminder, a really good way to like set yourself in the day ahead. And that's to remind yourself from the highest level, you are not here to be perfect. You are here having, you know, in earth school, which, you know, I love to say, to learn and grow. So just reminding yourself of that mind shift every morning is really important. If you can enter in your day like, I am here to learn and grow. I am not here to be perfect. Like, none of us are here to be perfect. It's an unreasonable, stupid expectation. It is delusional. And if you can have that mindset shift and do it once and take that into the rest of your life, great. But I find when we're dealing with real stuck stuff, you're going to have to do this mindset shift as a reminder and intention every morning. Okay. So again, it's anchoring in and going, I am not here to be perfect. I'm here to learn and grow today. That is my purpose here on earth. Okay. So that's number 1. Number 2 is, and we've done a lot of this in our past ego work, is to pause when you are beating yourself up, when you're being hard on yourself, when you have the awareness for it, and consciously redirect your thinking. And I suggest you consciously redirect it. And it might feel uncomfortable for some of you, but force yourself, instead of beating yourself, to force yourself to acknowledge something wonderful about you. You know, it can be related to whatever you're beating yourself up about or not. The point is to take control of your thinking and your energy. So pause when you feel yourself beating yourself up. Do not sit and beat yourself up for 2 hours, and consciously redirect and start thinking of things that are wonderful about you, or things about you that you're grateful for. It can be like, I'm grateful I have 10 fingers and 10 toes. Okay. But that's the practice. Conscious intention, conscious ownership of thinking, consciously redirecting. Okay. And then the third, and I've introduced this before, and I think it's one of the most important things we can do as women, is a daily practice of self-forgiveness. And this is very simple and easy to do when you are in bed at night and your eyes are already closed and you're about to go to sleep. Review your day. And I suggest, you know, as part of this, actually, you acknowledge all the things you did great. And the things that you think you did wrong, or whatever that your misperceived wrongs, you know, perceived wrongs about yourself, which I would say are a misperception, acknowledge and decide just consciously. You don't have to feel the forgiveness, but consciously say to yourself, I forgive myself for X. I forgive myself for Y. I forgive myself for being late. I forgive myself for saying something that I thought was stupid in that meeting. Do you see what I'm saying? So this is a lot of act as if. And if you can do these 3 things, which again, the daily intention of reminding yourself, you're not here to be perfect. You're here to learn and grow. The pause and redirect, so when you're beating yourself up, and then the daily practice self-forgiveness, you will naturally start being less hard on yourself. You will naturally start to love and accept yourself more. You just have ingrained behavioral patterns that you need to shift. And to shift things, you have to take ownership of it and be intentional about it, especially at first, you know, and then it just becomes like who you are, a fabric of who you are. But when you're really trying to make shifts and you want to be less miserable as a result of being hard on yourself, well, then be conscious about being less hard on yourself and do these 3 things. So that's all I've got for you this week. I hope that you have an incredible week ahead. If anyone has any topics you'd like me to cover, send me a note. I always love that. And if you like this video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe to my page as well. Okay, have a good week. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.